Hey, it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. Today, I'm sharing another awesome episode of Candid Corner from inside our Designer Meetups Facebook group. This is a candid conversation with yours truly, all about hot topics happening right now in the industry. Go ahead and enjoy. All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business. Welcome to Candid Corner. Welcome to Candid Corner. Welcome to our brand new time slot. It is 12:30 Eastern right now. It is lunchtime. I'm actually working from home today. So new time, new place means we're testing to see if this works for a lot of you guys. Let's dive into Candid Corner. My tea's too hot. I don't know why I made it right before this call. Okay. So, as always, please type into the comments if you have a question, because that's what I'm here for too. But in the meantime, if you don't type anything, I'm going to just jump right into what is going on inside this group and speak to some things that have popped up in the last week that I think are really worthy and important to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about is Abby made a post earlier, I think it was the end of last week. She said, fellow designers, what do you do when you have clients that continuously reject your ideas? I don't mean reject initial concepts, but later reject choices within the concept. I'm struggling because I've had several clients lately that have hired me to help because they need help, but then they'll not trust me to make the best decisions for them. I feel like it compromises my design integrity to cave to their ideas when I don't think it looks good. Help, how do you handle this? Okay, Abby, lady, this was my life. Reading this brings back so many memories of so many clients that I worked with who, I was like, in my head, I'm like, no, that is a terrible choice. That is so ugly. But out loud, I was like, okay, we'll see what we can do. And then under my breath, I was like, right? Part of this is just experience and gaining the confidence to stand your ground. I'll tell you a couple things. First of all, there will always be those clients that just have a predetermined vision in their head of something specific that matters to them and that they want. And so there's multiple ways you can handle this, but sometimes you just got to give them what they want and move on. Sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes, in the end, the project that you thought you were going to photograph that was going to be incredible for your portfolio goes completely sideways. And although the clients are happy, you are not. That is normal. I have had that happen before. And that one, you just got to let go and you don't photograph. But also, as you get more experience and as you start doing things and as you get confidence, once you establish your process that you follow with every single project, you will have more of that backbone. I'm not saying you don't have this, but this has been my experience and probably most of you have more backbone than I ever did, to say, you've hired me as a professional. My professional opinion is that this color doesn't work for these reasons, or that these beautiful curved woven stools, because I'm staring at my stool, are fabulous because they complement this, that, and the other. And you will stand your ground, but you also can't force someone unless it is in your process from the very, very beginning from the very beginning that says a stipulation. And I know some designers who do this, and I've started verbally doing this a little, but not entirely, that in hiring us, you are entrusting us to make the design decisions for you. All products and materials will be ordered through RHD with no exceptions, because this is how we are able to oversee, manage, control, yada, 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 yada. And if you have that conversation from the get-go, and I'm talking in your discovery call, then again in the consultation, you repeat it, then you talk about it again on your trade day or whatever you want to call it, then it becomes really clear. And it's not that you don't want their opinions, because it's their home likely, but you want them to trust you. The like, know, and trust factor also comes with them. How much do they know about you before they hire you? Are they just hiring you because, this is what used to happen to me. Clients would hire me because their neighbor referred me. They're like, oh, we worked with this designer. She was great. And they would just call me up and be like, we need a designer. And at the time, I didn't have the wherewithal to say, oh, well, what, like, have you seen my work? Or what about our work inspired you? Or was there something on our website? First of all, have you seen our website? Was there something on our website that spoke to you? Which project really stood out? I didn't have those conversations. I was too scared to have those conversations. If I had had those conversations, I would have seen that the client hadn't seen my work at all and just felt like they needed a designer and made an assumption that designers will do anything. Oh boy, there's some comments here. We've got a few. Heidi says, did a staging consult. The owner was there, who was also the builder. He pretty much ordered me to put what furniture where. Red flag, yes. Should I decline? It would be my first official staging and feel like I need it for my portfolio. Give me advice, please. Heidi, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a portfolio piece if this builder has his own ideas. And it's so funny that you bring this up, because I literally just got an email. I have a real estate agent that I worked with outside the city to buy the farmland. And she brought me in, red flag, she brought me in earlier this year to look at this potentially massive staging job. She was like, it's like a $10 million house. This could be really great for your dangle, right? Great for your portfolio and for the marketing. And I think actually she wanted to tag along on my marketing. She's the loveliest woman. Anyhow, so I was like, okay. And because I felt like I owed her a little, because she'd thrown us this beautiful party after we bought our land, I brought my senior designer with me for the day, because it was outside Toronto. We drove all the way. I did not charge for a consultation, which was my biggest mistake. And at the time, I knew it, but I was doing it anyways. And we spent a few hours in this old farmhouse. It was not worth $10 million in my opinion. It's worth $10 million because of all the other amenities that the property has, like this crazy state of the art, massive like stables and barn and all that jazz. But the homeowner was there walking through, and you could tell as I made a suggestion, she was like, well, I was going to do this and I was going to do that. Anyhow, I got the feeling by the end of the consult that the real estate agent valued my opinion as a stager. I'm not even a stager, let's be honest. I don't stage, but I was going to, that's the other thing. I don't stage anymore, but I was going to do it for her. Because I thought, oh, maybe this woman will then hire me to like do her like next home and like decorate. And she has really expensive taste and it's going to be amazing. And anyhow, she then ended up telling me that they were not going to go ahead with us because we put a quote together for them, which was rather high, but we did the math. We figured out the number of hours because we were going to stage it so it looked like really nicely done. And she's like, my client has decided not to go ahead with you. I just didn't want to like drag it on. And I was like, absolutely, no problem, what have you, right? So today she sends me an email with the pictures of the staging job, which I'm pretty sure that she and the homeowner thought they could just do themselves based on all the recommendations I made in the hours that I was there. And can I just tell you, it does not look good, but I'm not going to tell her that. I'm going to be like, good try. And I feel like I dodged a bullet not doing that job. So Heidi, I can't tell you what to do, but just given the red flag that you're already seeing, you need to consider, A, are you going to make enough money that even if it's not a portfolio piece, it's worth it, right? You can't lose money. So make sure you're making money. Or B, is it going to be a potential for referrals? And the thing is, those are never guaranteed. Most of the time when someone dangles that referral, it never happens. And they're like, oh, there's going to be more projects. I had that once with a bakery. I designed this bakery. No, I don't. No, I did not. So back to Abby's question. The bakery I designed is here in Toronto. It's pretty well known. I'm not at all happy with the design because the client kept going rogue. I designed like this beautiful millwork and it was like a very bistro style and it was very like me. She kept changing it and she went to Home Depot and bought these like orange lights. And she kept pushing. She wanted orange everywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the whole thing just kind of went sideways. That I stepped into it once at the end and I was like, oh my God, I can't even tell anyone that I'm associated with this project because the homeowner, or it wasn't a homeowner, it was a commercial space or whatever you call them, hospitality. She just went. And so, and in the end, I didn't really charge enough money. And it was like, I didn't make any money. It wasn't for my portfolio. She was a bitch and a pain to deal with that I wish I'd never done it. The only thing that's good about it is it's lessons learned. I have no regrets in life. I feel like everything is a lesson. Heidi, let me know if any of that resonated. Miriam says, I have a marketing question. I'm struggling on finding new clients who are not referrals as they don't come in often. I'm not sure if Facebook marketing is worth it. I've also started reaching out to realtors, but no luck either. Okay, Miriam, this is a really great question. I was actually having this conversation this morning with another designer here in Toronto because I am planning a local designer meetup in November. So stay tuned for that. I forgot to put that in the announcements. And we're going to talk a little bit about this, like where do you find clients and how the industry has changed over the last decade and the observations that I've seen and that she's seen. And I will announce that soon and who that guest is because she's incredible. But we were talking about that and it's so interesting. It's like so much more now is online, but by the same token, if you don't know your target market, like if you do not know who your client is, like there's a reason why everything I teach, I always start with like, who is your ideal client? Who is your ICA, your ideal client avatar? Because until you know really who that is and where they hang out, where they spend their time and what are they struggling with and what do they want out of life? Like that's how, once you know that, then you can really get in front of those people. So like, are they at a golf and country club? Is there a golf and country club that you could go and speak at? Or maybe you could go and offer a free consultation to your local school. Is there a local private school? Like where is your client? Is it a neighborhood? Do you want to get in that neighborhood? Real estate agents, it can take time with realtors. I would say you need to do more than just connect with them. Say, hey, I had a real estate agent. We never ended up doing anything together, but because it got kind of busy, but she reached out to me and was looking at maybe can we do some kind of a partnership when it comes to you creating content, me creating content for her blog that would benefit. So it was like a longer play. So I was going to, and we never got around to doing it, but I was going to write just like different tips and tricks that she would then put on her blog that goes out and is emailed to her people. And a lot of that is just people seeing your name over and over again. Referrals are your best. So if you have past clients or if you have an email list, you need to reach out to them. I just got a girlfriend of mine in the city, has a newsletter. I'm on her newsletter and she just sent out the fall newsletter and I loved it. In there, I can't even tell you the wording, what she said. Give me a second. I thought it was really good. And I'm not usually a fan of discounting any services, but there can be a way if someone's already in your realm or in your list or a past client, you could give them a special price because of their proximity to you, because they're loyal and they keep showing up for you. So she says, during the month of October, we'll be offering 15% discount on our consultations. Mention you received our newsletter and we'll be sure to pass on the savings. So I love that. So something like that you could do just to kind of promote your consultation, to get people in the door so that you get in front of more people. Miriam's currently working on POP. Oh, amazing. So you're definitely narrowing down your ideal client. Okay, Miriam, Power Process is going to be very transformational for you in this regard, because I think that as we get into the later modules, especially with module 5, and we talk about spreading the word, and you'll see what other people in the community are doing and how to get in front of new clients, I think you're going to get
So maybe we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit. So like do the ideal client work, get really clear on your service offering, because that's going to help you market your business and really show up in front of the right people. And yes, the internet, like this is a bigger conversation of marketing, which is why the first course I ever created for designers was called Momentum Marketing, because A, I feel super passionate about marketing, and B, everybody's always asking, like, what do we do? Because there's so many places that you can be nowadays. I don't think that just showing up online is the answer necessarily. And that's like maybe a bigger conversation. Because in all the PR and all the marketing that I did over the years, I would tell you the bulk of my best clients still all came from word of mouth referrals. Even though I was featured multiple times in Style at Home magazine, in Our Homes, I went on live television, I did all of that. And that was really amazing to elevate the stature of my company in the industry. And if anything, it made vendors respect me a little bit more and know my name. It helped clients because it showed them, well, other people think that Rebecca's good at what she does, so she must be good. So established me as an authority, and they trusted me. So that's when I noticed a shift in, and this is back to what we were talking about with Abby's question, is that's why I noticed a shift in people actually letting me make design decisions and not fighting me, because they're like, oh, well, you have been in this publication or on this online thing. So if other people think you're good, I'm going to trust other people, because people often don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves that they're making the right decision in hiring a designer. They don't trust themselves to think that it's like there's a whole psychological background there. But I went on a tangent. Marketing, man, whole other topic for another day. Okay. Am I offering Momentum Marketing? I don't know. It's one of those courses I feel like I need to continually update with like new trends and stuff. So maybe in 2023, if there's interest for it, we might do it again. We'll see. Adriana's like, I must know what bakery that is. I'm never telling. I'll tell you one day. Give me a couple of cocktails and I'll spill all the beans. Okay, so Alexis, are you still here? You said hi, and I wanted to address, because your topic was the next one. That was a big one, and you shared, and thank you for sharing the situation that you were just in. So last week, Alexis shared about a client, and I'm going to just summarize it, that essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my takeaway. She put together a full service design proposal for a client. The client pushed back, and she said, we want it for $20,000 less, right? So they tried to negotiate. And then you said, but that's what it costs, and this is why, and the service offering is better than you've experienced in the past, and blah, blah, blah. And then the client said, okay, thank you. And he's going to circle back to her. I think, Alexis, is that basically what happened? Yes, okay, she's here, and yes. Okay, so, I mean, maybe type where you're at right now. First of all, I want to say kudos to you, lady, for standing your ground and saying, this is the value and this is what it's worth. The only other thing I wanted to share with you about that was, I mean, you already had the conversation with them, which is great. What I've done in the past, if somebody is saying, oh, she's saying, first they tried to say they didn't want all the services I provided for a custom home. Right. Okay. So the only way that I've ever negotiated price with a client is by reducing the scope of work. Not the service level, though, the scope of work. Meaning, maybe instead of, now this is a custom home, so it might be a little bit different, but it could be, great, we're not going to furnish the basement. If you want me to reduce my fee, we can do everything except for this section. Because, like, I mean, at least the way we calculate our fees, it does, the scope of work is a factor in the fee. Yeah, so you can de-scope your services. That's not a problem. Like if they're like, we want you to do the whole house, and you're like, great, my fee is going to be $50,000. And then they're like, oh, we only want to pay 40. That's when you say, sure, no problem. Let's just do the main floor and the girls' rooms. Nothing wrong with that. You're still doing full service, but for a smaller area. right? That's the only way I would do it. And I think there's nothing wrong with that because it's full service. And this is a conversation I think is so important to have. And we're going to have this in Power of Process for my Q&A tomorrow because it's coming up a lot inside the course. And I'm also going to weave it into the conversation, I think, when we do our designer meetup in Toronto in November, because I think it's really important. I think there's some misconceptions when it comes to full service. And I'm not saying this is you, but I just think in general, from what I'm seeing, all the chatter online, is that I think there's an assumption in our industry that full service means you do everything from start to finish for everything. So, oh, well, I'm only going to work. And like some people, sure, if that's all you do and you only do the entire home, and if it's not the entire home, you won't touch it, that's fine. But I can tell you that's not what full service necessarily means. So it could mean full service could mean we are full service for your kitchen, meaning we are going to design, we are going to specify, we are potentially going to furnish, do the lighting, we're going to oversee the trades, and we are going to turnkey service, turn it over to you at the end, and it's your kitchen. But you're not touching the decorating, or you're not touching the other aspects of the renovation potentially. Full service can mean whatever you want it to mean, really, as long as you're very descriptive and clear to your clients and to your potential clients on what that means. But if you are full service is the type of service you offer. In my opinion, it does not mean I only do an entire home. Does that make sense, that distinction? So Alexis says, I don't furnish, so it's full service or nothing. They wanted full service, but they wanted to do some of the legwork themselves. So I don't think that's enough information for me to go off, Alexis, because full service or nothing, what does that have to do with furniture? So like full service could be full service renovations, could be full service custom home design, could be full service just decorating, could be full service reno and decor. So you don't want to delegate your work to clients. So they want you. We were talking about this in the study group yesterday, Alexis. I know this is why I saw that in the study group, because I popped my head in yesterday in the study hall. And I noticed there was some confusion and fresh frustration and stress over this idea of full service design. So I want to unpack that tomorrow in the Q&A. But for the purposes, because we're running out of time here for Candid Corner, I would just say that it can be whatever the heck you want it to be, let's be honest. But I was just having this conversation this morning with this designer, and we were talking, she's like, I will do full service for a living room. They want me to come in and do everything from start to finish for that area. Great. I'll do full service for the entire custom home. The full service factor, in her opinion, and this is how I run my business is, and yes, I have a minimum project size that I want to do, but full service, and I think this might be what you're talking about, Alexis. And like, I was like, this designer that I was having a conversation with this morning is like very established, like very high end, but she was saying she's saying sometimes the big projects don't come. And so she needs to take on multiple small projects because she has bills to pay and she doesn't do it as a hobby. And so it's still full service. So if she's going to do like 4 bathrooms in a home, she'll do the 4 bathrooms. And I think this is what you're getting at, Alexis, but she does full service, meaning she controls the whole thing. So she's designing, she's overseeing the construction. The client's not going rogue and saying, I'm going to go, I saw some really cool lights on Wayfair and I'm going to go buy them. She's like, no. When you hire us for full service, it's the whole meal deal for whatever area we are working on. Okay. Adriana, I totally agree with this approach. Sometimes when I meet the ideal client, but they're not ready for the full spend, I outline options in the proposal. One always includes the entire scope, and then another might be priority areas, less the basement floor, for example. Absolutely. They have a contractor. So you have to decide if you're willing to work with someone else's contractor. We say we will, but to be honest, most people now just come to us because they want to work with our contractor. I've not had great experiences working with someone else's contractor, to be honest, because there tends to be a little bit of this going on, a little bit of this, he said, she said, that little like pointy. But yeah, and I've done that where we've had to scale back a project. We just did this last year. I don't know if I've shared this here. I think I shared it inside the course, but like, they hired us to do their entire house, reno and decor. And then the market's crashed and they're like, our money's in the market. We can't do the $500,000 reno. We need to scale it back to 300. And we were like, okay, fair. So we're like, okay, so what falls off the scope? Not how can we do it for less? What rooms are we not tackling? And then we were like, okay, you can do this, this, and this. And they were like, actually, our actual spend is like 150,000. And I turned to my team and I was like, well, if that was the case from the beginning, I would never have taken on this job because our minimum project spend is 200,000. But here we are. And so maybe for lack of better judgment, I kept going. I'm like, well, we can do your basement. And so the entire house got scrapped. But instead of saying, well, let's do the hardwood floors and like maybe we can do like the bathroom upstairs and like we'll just like half finish the basement. I said to him, I was like, if we're going to be involved, we're going to focus our efforts and our finances and our investment into one area. And then you can phase it and do the other and bring us back next year in 2 years and we can do the rest of the house. How do you break out options in a custom home that doesn't include furnishings? I'm not sure I understand what you mean by options. That's a bigger question. I'm not entirely sure I follow. Sorry, Alexis. Maybe give some clarification. Feel free to post it inside the group, inside Power Process, since you're there as well. And we can take this conversation further. All right, that is our time for today. Thank you for joining me today for Candid Corner. Let me know if this time was good for you. And what else you want me to talk about? That's all I got to say. Alexis, descope, we would just do pricing by room. That's how we would do it. Or by area, depending on the project, right? The basement, we wouldn't break into rooms. It was an entire basement. It was all or nothing. We decided decorating, and then the third floor was separate. So you kind of have to use your judgment based on the house. Okay, that's it, guys. I will see y'all soon.